Last year, I decided to watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in chronological order. That includes not only the 38 films that have been released, but all of the TV shows, including the animated ones, 2 special presentations, 5 one-shots, and a whole heap of content that Marvel just refuses to acknowledge is actually canon. I didn't stop there though, because with the Multiverse saga, I decided to watch everything that Marvel had to offer. For both seasoned fans and those who have got no idea where to start, let's discuss. Hello everyone, my name is Jay and welcome to my guide on how to watch the MCU in chronological order. Now of course, because Disney Plus exists, there is a timeline there that seems to do most of the work for us, but there's actually a few reasons why this timeline is not the best source. The first of these is that Disney Plus doesn't actually break up TV shows by season and just includes it all together as one. If you were to follow this advice and just watch every single episode in a TV show one after another, then you would just get some serious plot confusion that breaking it up by season totally negates and is much better for. The second reason is that the Disney Plus timeline doesn't actually include any of the multiversal titles in a given timeline. I've included them in this video and I want to tell you the way that I watched it, and hopefully it will work for you as well. Now, as I go through items on the watch order, you might notice that, for example, I say something takes place from July to August 2018, but then the next item on the list might only take place in July 2018. There is a reason for this, and it's usually because the majority of a given property will take place before the next item that comes on the list, or maybe it's just been placed there to make the viewing less fragmented. I promise it all makes sense and it is the best watch order that I follow. One last thing I want to do before we get started, and then I promise we can move on to the watch order, is just give a quick shout out to YouTuber 8bits of Everything. He specialises in timelines all around, and without his information and all of his spreadsheets, I could not have made this video, so thank you so much, you really helped me out with this. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so unfortunately the timeline does get off to a bit of a muddled start, but I promise you it becomes easier. The first item on the list is actually Eyes of Wakanda. This is a 4-part anthology series with 4 episodes, each taking place within its own distinct timeline. The first takes place in 1260 BC, the second in 1200 BC, third in 1400, and the fourth in 1896. I promise you that from the next title, it becomes a lot more straightforward. Captain America, the First Avenger takes place from March 1942 to March 1946. The post-credit scene does jump ahead here and it shows you a quick little preview of the future movie The Avengers, but it's fine to watch it here, it doesn't really spoil that much. The Agent Carter one-shot is the first of its kind and takes place in March 1946. It follows Peggy Carter, who you were first introduced to in Captain America the First Avenger. And so we've reached the first Marvel show where technically it's not been confirmed that it takes place in the main timeline, even though when it was first made, it was made with the intention of fitting flawlessly into the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so a little bit confusing there, but until Marvel says no categorically that it's not part of MCU canon, I'm going to include it. Season 1 of Agent Carter has a total of 8 episodes and it takes place from April to May 1946. Agent Carter Season 2 is slightly longer with 10 episodes and takes place a year later in July 1947. Jumping ahead a lot now, we reach Captain Marvel, a movie that was released in 2018 but comes much earlier in our MCU timeline. It takes place in 1995, but you need to skip the mid-credit scene in order to avoid major spoilers. I will say later on when you can actually watch that, but for now, just watch the movie, making sure to leave out that mid-credit scene. Next up is the movie that started it all, Iron Man. It takes place from February to May 2008. Fittingly, Iron Man 2 comes next, and it takes place from May to June 2010. Taking place concurrently with Iron Man 2, we have The Incredible Hulk, which also takes place from May to June 2010. A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's Hammer is the second one-shot on this list, and it takes place also in May 2010. The previous one-shot leads directly into Thor, the final part of a movie trio which takes place from, you guessed it, May to June 2010. We then have another one-shot, The Consultant, and it expands upon the post-credit scene of The Incredible Hulk. It gives it some much-needed context. It takes place in July of 2010. After that, we have The Avengers, also known as Avengers Assemble, and it takes place in May 2012. Another one-shot here, Item 47 takes place directly after the events of The Avengers, and we're still within May of 2012. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially the earlier seasons, are intricately woven into the MCU, yet fast forward to the present day and Marvel refuses to say if it's actually in the 616 canon universe. We'll assume that it is, and to start off, we'll start with Season 1 Episodes 1 to 7, which take place from September to November 2013. Thor: The Dark World is next, and it takes place in November 2013, connecting directly to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now you're going to return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1 and watch episodes 8 to 12, which take place from November 2013 to March 2014. A debated timeline placement now. Iron Man 3 takes place in December of 2013. It does have plot elements that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would include in their pilot episode, but if you follow this watch order, you'll have already been introduced to them. Now, go back to Season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and watch episodes 13 to 15, which occur from January to February 2014. All Hail the King, another Marvel one-shot, is next, and it takes place in February 2014. It directly follows the events of Iron Man 3. A lot of back and forth here, but now you're going to want to go back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1 and watch episode 16. That will lead directly into the next movie on this list. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, one of the best MCU movies, takes place in March of 2014. Immediately after this, you can go back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and finish Season 1, episodes 17 to 22. They take place in March 2014. Introducing a new set of characters, Guardians of the Galaxy, takes place in August of 2014. You can then watch the first episode of the series I Am Groot. It takes place a month after the first Guardians movie in September 2014. Then you can switch back, go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which takes place in October of 2014. This will allow you to then go and watch the rest of I Am Groot Season 1. There's only 4 episodes left and they're really short. After this, move on to the second and final season of I Am Groot. There's another 5 episodes here and they take place from October to November 2014. Again, they're super short, they'll be really quick to get through. Okay, time to move on to the originally on Netflix shows, which Marvel has declared are officially canon. Daredevil Season 1 is first and you can watch all 13 episodes. They take place from January to February 2015. Jessica Jones Season 1 comes right after this, and again you can watch all 13 episodes in that first season. They take place from March to April 2015. Time to return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where you can watch the first 19 episodes of Season 2. They start in May 2014, but they do take us all the way up to April 2015. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will lead us directly into the next movie, Avengers: Age of Ultron. This movie takes place from April to May of 2015. You can now watch the first season of WHIH Newsfront, and although these are not considered canon by Marvel, it does fit flawlessly into the timeline. This first season takes place from May to July 2015. Now you can return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. Watch the final 3 episodes, which take place in May 2015. We have our next movie now, Ant-Man, which takes place from July to August 2015. You can now begin Daredevil Season 2. Only watch the first 7 episodes though. These take place on October of 2015. We can now begin the TV show Luke Cage, which actually interlinks with Daredevil Season 2. For now, only watch the first episode of Luke Cage. When you've done that, you can go back to Daredevil to watch Season 2 Episode 8, before then going back to Luke Cage to watch Season 1 Episode 2. Back to Daredevil now, because you're going to watch Episode 9, and then again you're going to switch back to Luke Cage so you can watch Episodes 3 and 4 of Season 1. More flip-flopping now, you're going to watch Season 2 Episodes 10 and 11 of Daredevil, before going back to Luke Cage so you can watch Season 1 Episode 5. Finally, you can go back to Daredevil and finish the season with Episodes 12 and 13. Likewise, after that you can go back to Luke Cage and you can finish the season by watching Episodes 6 to 13. Luke Cage Season 1 and Daredevil Season 2 take place for the majority of the time from November to December 2015. We can now return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to start Season 3 and you're going to watch the first 19 episodes, which take place from November 2015 to June 2016. After that, you can watch the first season of Iron Fist. All 13 episodes can be watched right now, and it takes place from February to March of 2016. The Netflix heroes then unite in their own miniseries. You can watch all 8 episodes right now, and they take place in May 2016. You can then watch the final installment of WHIH Newsfront. Again, it's available on YouTube and covers the events of May 2016. Captain America Civil War is our next movie, and the events take place from May to June of 2016. Black Widow is our next movie, and it follows directly on from Captain America Civil War in June 2016. Be careful though, you're going to want to skip that post-credit scene to avoid spoilers. I'll let you know when you can watch it. Black Panther also follows on directly from the events of Captain America Civil War from June to July of 2016. We can then go back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3 and you can finish the season, watch the final 3 episodes, episodes 20 to 22. I'm really sorry, it is now time to watch the mini-series Inhumans. It's not being considered canon, but I have decided to include it on this list. It takes place in August 2016 and has 8 episodes in total. On a brighter note, it's now time for the first Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man Homecoming happens from June to September of 2016. The final original Netflix show that you're going to be introduced to is The Punisher, and you can begin it now. You can watch all 13 episodes of Season 1, which take place from November to December of 2016. Remember, all of the Netflix shows are now streaming on Disney+. Doctor Strange is next, and it takes place from the autumn of 2016 all the way through to January of 2017. You can now watch all 13 episodes of Jessica Jones Season 2. They occur from April to June of 2017. After this, you're going to watch all 13 episodes of Luke Cage Season 2, where you will finish the series. These take place from August to September of 2017. Time for one of the best television seasons ever produced, period. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. You're going to watch the first 8 episodes and they take place from March to May 2017. You're now going to watch the 6-episode web series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Slingshot. It takes place in September 2016, but there's really no other option than to watch it now as a flashback, as doing so any other way just wouldn't make sense. So watch the web series now and then we can return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yep, you can now continue with Television Gold. Watch the rest of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episodes 7 to 22, which take place from March to May 2017. Next up is Cloak and Dagger, another show where its canonicity is not confirmed, but we're going to assume it is for the meantime. Season 1 has 10 episodes and takes place from March to May of 2017, and Season 2 also has 10 episodes, starting in October and ending in November of 2017. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. continues now. Watch the first 10 episodes of Season 5, which take place from May to November of 2017. Next up is Runaways, a show that many would struggle to view as canon, and I can definitely see that. I'm going to include it here anyway, just to cover all bases. Season 1 has 10 episodes and all take place in October of 2017. Season 2 though has a little bit more with 13 episodes, taking place in October but moving through to November of 2017. We're now going to switch over to Iron Fist Season 2. It only has 10 episodes and takes place in October of 2017. You can also now finish the original series of Daredevil. Season 3 has 13 more episodes and takes place from October to November of 2017. Thor Ragnarok then makes our return to movies. It takes place in November of 2017. After that, we're going to return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episodes 11 to 13 of Season 5 can now be watched, and they take place in November of 2017 as well. Going back to Runaways now, the third and final season takes place from November 2017 to May 2018. It has 10 episodes, and there is time travel involved, but it doesn't really matter. This impacts nothing else in the MCU, so it's perfectly okay to watch Runaways now. We then have the second season of The Punisher, which also has 13 episodes, just like the first season, and it takes place from April to May of 2018. Likewise, Jessica Jones Season 3 also has 13 episodes, taking place at the same time as The Punisher Season 2, April to May of 2018. Ant-Man and the Wasp comes next, but be careful, do not watch that mid-credit scene. There are more spoilers here, so you need to skip that out. Again, I will bring that up in the list when we get to it. It's now time to finish Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5. You can watch episodes 14 to 22, which is the final batch of episodes that's still linked to the MCU before the show diverges completely onto its own path. These episodes take place in May 2018 and provide the perfect setup for the next movie on the list. Yep, here it is. It's now time to watch Avengers Infinity War, which of course takes place in May of 2018. Now is the perfect time to watch those mid-credit scenes I previously told you to skip. That includes the Captain Marvel mid-credit scene and the Ant-Man and the Wasp mid-credit scene. Watch them now. Immediately after this, you can watch Avengers Endgame, which takes place in October of 2023. Now is the best time to continue with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 and Season 7 don't make reference to the main MCU anymore, but supposedly still occur from June to July of 2019. Season 6 has got a total of 13 episodes, and Season 7 has the same. Just watch this now and finish the show. Loki is the first Disney Plus show on this list. You can watch all 6 episodes of Season 1 right now, all of which takes place out of time. Next up on the list is the potentially controversial placement of Loki Season 2. Technically, Loki Season 2 doesn't take place until after the Marvels, but in my opinion, that is just too long away, as you're about to see we're going to explore a very, very expansive multiverse. So it's perfectly fine to watch both seasons now. It's just important to keep in mind that everything that comes before the Marvels technically occurs before Loki Season 2 happens. After the Marvels, that's when you could watch Loki Season 2, and then everything after that takes place after that season, but it's completely up to you, whatever you feel is best. In my opinion, both seasons of Loki form a cohesive story, so it's best to watch now, but again, it's up to you. We can then move on to What If Season 1, which is an animated series and has a total of 9 episodes in its first season. After that, you can watch Marvel Zombies, which has only 4 episodes. These 4 episodes follow directly on from What If Season 1 Episode 5. You can either watch this series straight after you watch that episode or at the end of What If Season 1. It doesn't really matter, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so we've reached a point where we can discuss all the multiversal properties that Marvel has ever made. Now, it's my opinion that the events of Loki did not actually create the multiverse, but I think it's best to leave them until now, because it's the point where they actually become relevant to the rest of the MCU. Watching them during the Infinity Saga would, in my opinion, seriously mess up the flow. If you want to skip all of them, then that's totally fine. I will leave a timestamp so you can skip ahead and stay with the main timeline of the MCU. It should be noted though that most of these, if not all of these, actually do connect to the MCU, which is why I've left them in this video. I decided the order of these films by placing them in batches. You'll see what I mean as we go on. And the first of these is actually 2005's Fantastic Four, which takes place conveniently in the same year of its release, 2005. After this, you can watch its sequel, 2007's Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which again takes place in the same year as its release, 2007. 2015's Fan Four Stick, also known as just 2015's Fantastic Four, also takes place in the same year as its release. Okay, we're now going to move on to the X-Men universe, and we're going to start with X-Men First Class, which occurs in 1962. After that, we have Origins of Wolverine, which takes place in 1979. And after that, you can watch the original X-Men. Lots of debate over when this takes place. I've said it takes place in 2000, but others might say it takes place earlier or even later, and it's totally up to you. It's totally up to your own interpretation. I then placed the sequel X2 in 2003. And then X3 or X-Men The Last Stand I've put in 2006. You can then watch The Wolverine, whose events happened in 2013, before then starting season 1 of the TV series The Gifted, which occurs in 2017. Season 1 has 13 episodes, and it's a very underrated show in my opinion. Season 2 of The Gifted follows on from this and takes place in 2018. It has 16 episodes, and although the show was cancelled and unintentionally ends on a cliffhanger, I actually think it perfectly flows into the next movie on this list, which is Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past occurs in 2023, but the time travel events of this film take us all the way back to 1973 and actually reset our timeline. Of all the previous X-Men properties, only First Class will remain, since it took place earlier in 1962. In this new timeline following First Class, we have X-Men Apocalypse Next, which takes place in 1983. After this is Dark Phoenix, which takes place in 1992. These next few movies are sometimes debated as to which timeline they actually belong in, but I'm keeping them all grouped together. The X universe is a bit of a mess, but we do the best we can. I do think I've got them in the best order possible, and the first of these is Deadpool, which occurs in 2016. Next we have the abomination of a movie, Sorry. It's The New Mutants, and many would disagree, but I have placed it in 2017. Logan is next, and we jump forward to 2029. Technically, Deadpool 2 should be here since it takes place in 2019, but the opening scene of that movie completely spoils Logan, so watch Logan first. Following that, you can watch the Deadpool short No Good Deed, which happens in 2017. And then finally, you can watch Deadpool 2, which takes place in 2018 to close us out of the X universe. Legion is a show completely separate to the rest of the X-Men timelines. Its placement is unclear, but it's assumed that the events occur sometime in the 1970s or 1980s. Not totally clear, but that's where most people place it. The first season has 8 episodes, the second season has 11 episodes, and the third season returns to 8 episodes. New universe now, and we have Blade, a movie which takes place in 1998. Its sequel, Blade 2, takes place in 2000, and finally, Blade Trinity closes out the trilogy and takes place in 2006. In another universe, we have a different Daredevil who lives in 2003, and after this we follow his sidekick Elektra in her own film, which takes place in 2005. Yet another timeline now, and we have Ghost Rider, a movie which happens in 2007. After this we have the sequel, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which takes place later in 2011. Time for lots of different Punisher universes now. The first is 1989's The Punisher, which conveniently has been designated the same year as its release, 1989. In a separate universe from that, we have The Punisher 2004, which also takes place in 2004. This is also connected to the fan-made movie The Punisher Dirty Laundry, which takes place in 2012. The final Punisher movie we're going to talk about is Punisher Warzone, which takes place in its own timeline in 2008. All of the following films take place in their own universes. The first of these is George Lucas's Howard the Duck, which takes place in 1986. Meanwhile, David Hasselhoff stars as Nick Fury in the 1998 film Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and 2003 introduces us to a different version of the Hulk, played by Eric Bana. We also have Man-Thing, which honestly is probably the worst thing on this entire list. It was a real struggle to get through it, but it takes place in 2005 if you want to subject yourself to that. I think this is also a good time to watch the rest of the Marvel one-shots. Unlike the previous ones that I discussed, they're not MCU canon, so I've placed them alongside all these multiverse titles. Team Thor Part 1 occurs from June 2015 to June 2016, whilst Part 2 occurs in November 2016. Also connected to these is Team Daryl, which starts in December 2017 and ends in February 2018. In another distant universe, we have the TV series Hellstrom, 8 episodes which take place in October of 2020. It's not very good, I'm afraid. Now, next up we actually have the X-Men animated series, and I will say that this is the only thing on the list that I've not actually seen. I've included it in this video to cover all bases, but because of how large the show is, it really would have slowed me down in my watching of all Marvel's titles, so I made the decision to leave it until later, and I will come back to it, I promise. If you want to watch it, then here are the dates that it takes place. We have Season 1, which takes place from April to January 1991 to 1993. We have Season 2, which takes place from January to March of 1993. We then have Season 3, which takes place from August to March of 1994 to 1995. We have Season 4, which takes place from March to January 1995 to 1996. And we have Season 5, which takes place from February to November of 1996. Of course, following this, we have the much more recent installment of the X-Men series, which is X-Men 97, the beginning of the reboot. This first season occurs from September to November, and then again in May 1997 to 1998. Don't worry, the multiverse is almost over, but first we need to go into the Spider-Verse with Into the Spider-Verse. This movie takes place in December of 2018. The animated short Spider-Ham Caught in a Ham takes place right after this, and it takes place in December 2018. And again, another short, The Spider Within, takes place in October of 2019. The current final installment in this universe is Across the Spider-Verse, which happens in April of 2020. In another universe, we have the first season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It takes place in March of 2016. And finally, I've saved the best till last for you. We have Madam Web, which takes place in June 2003 in its own little isolated universe. Have fun with that. Okay, we can finally return to the main MCU timeline. Next up, we have WandaVision, which is by far my favourite entry on this entire list. It takes place in November 2023 and it has 9 episodes. 9 glorious episodes, I should say. The movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is next, and it takes place from March to April of 2024. And then we have the 6-episode series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which takes place from April to July of 2024. Okay, so don't hate me, we have to briefly return to the multiverse just one more time, and that's because we need to watch all of the Spider-Man movies. I've placed them here deliberately because watching them now will just give Spider-Man No Way Home, a feature film in the MCU, the best possible viewing experience. We're going to start with Sam Raimi's first ever Spider-Man movie. It was the one with Tobey Maguire making his debut, and it takes place in April to December of 2002. After that, we have Spider-Man 2, which takes place from March to April of 2004. And finally, we have Spider-Man 3, which takes place from June to July of 2005. In the Andrew Garfield universe, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, which occurs from March to April of 2013. And of course its sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which takes place from June 2013 to October 2014. Okay, last other universe, it is the Sonyverse. Starting with Venom, which happens in October 2018 and takes us through to April 2019. We then have everyone's favourite, Morbius, which takes place in June of 2019. And then you can watch Venom Let There Be Carnage. It starts in October and ends in November of 2020. Immediately following this, I put Venom The Last Dance, which occurs in November 2020. You could watch this later after you've seen some of the different Spider-Man movies, but it's best to just cap this off now and close down all those alternate universes so we can just continue on with the main MCU timeline. And there we have it, one last movie to end the Sonyverse, and it is Kraven the Hunter. It takes place in March of 2022. Okay, back to the main timeline, and we're going to stick with this now until the end. We've got Spider-Man Far From Home, and it happens June to July of 2024. And then immediately following this, you're going to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think is probably my favourite movie on this list. It takes place from July to December of 2024. Eternals is next, and the events in this film take place in October of 2024. And after this, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the events of which take place in November of 2024. Bit of a random insertion here, but you can finally watch that Black Widow post-credit scene I was telling you to wait for. After you've done that, that leads you straight into the 6-episode series Hawkeye, which takes place in December of 2024. Perfect Christmas viewing too. We then have Moon Knight, which has 6 episodes, and it takes place from April to May of 2025. And then we return to a movie with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It happens in May of 2025. Also happening in this month is the 5-episode limited series Echo. And after that, you can watch all 9 episodes of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. It's got 9 episodes and it spans from April to September of 2025. Another TV series now, we've got Miss Marvel. It's also got 6 episodes and it spans 2 months, covering September to October of 2025. Thor Love and Thunder, the 4th Thor film, then takes place from April to October 2025. And following this, we have got Ironheart, another 6-episode series taking place solely in October of 2025. We then have Werewolf by Night, one of Marvel's current 2 special presentations. It takes place on the 31st of October 2025. Yep, Halloween. We then have the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which, unsurprisingly, takes place in December of 2025. New year now, and we skip forward 7 months before our next entry, which is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It takes place in July of 2026. And we can also now finish the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It takes place in August of 2026. Back to the TV shows now, and we have Secret Invasion. It spans from August to September of 2026. The Marvels is our next movie, and it happens in September of 2026. Remember though, this is technically the point where Loki Season 2 is about to take place, so if you've not watched it, now is the chance, but hopefully you can see why I've already watched it, because leaving it till now is just far too long. It works much better as a cohesive story and watching it back to back with Season 1. You can also watch What If Season 2 now. Like the first season, it has got a total of 9 episodes and goes across various timelines. Franchises then converge in Deadpool and Wolverine. Technically it takes place in October of 2024, and you'll see the reasons for that in the film, but it's best to watch it now because it maintains the flow of the MCU. We then have the 9-episode series Agatha All Along, and it takes place in October of 2026. This is then followed by the third and final season of What If. It has 8 episodes, which is 1 less than its previous 2 seasons. We then get to revisit Daredevil with the reboot series Daredevil Born Again. Its first season has got 9 episodes for you, and it takes place from October 2026 to January 2027. We're so close to the end now. We have Captain America Brave New World next, and that has its events happening in April of 2017. After that, we have Thunderbolts, which takes place in October of 2027. And finally, we have the Fantastic Four First Steps. Technically, it takes place in its own universe in July 1969, but of course, it's a part of the MCU now, and we know the characters are going to cross over into our present day, so it's best to watch it right now. And there you go, we did it. I don't know the release dates for future MCU projects. We can probably make educated guesses for things like Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, but we don't know for sure, so I've left them off the list just now. I'm sure there's mistakes in this list, and you're welcome to let me know what those are in the comments below. I hope I've got it in an okay order. It certainly worked for me when I did my whole rewatch of it. If you did like it though, please give the video a like and leave a comment down below. Do you like the list? Do you disagree with it? Is there anything that I should have included that I maybe didn't? Please let me know down below, and consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you're notified when I post a new video. This was a really long video to make, but I'm glad I did it, and hopefully it does the job well. That's all for now though, and I will see you next time. Bye.